Mm-hmm. Yes, things are going well. Okay, meanwhile, in actual good news, New York has a candidate for governor on the Republican side, a very strong candidate, in fact, Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman from New York. She has now announced that she will be running for governor. Here was her campaign launch.
As a working mom, congresswoman, and fighter, Elise knows families need more help, and she'll make New York affordable. That's why she authored and passed the largest middle-class tax cut in New York's history, letting working families keep more of their hard-earned money. Elise will reduce your energy, utility, and grocery bills. She fought woke insanity in our schools, stood proudly with law enforcement, championed small businesses, and will never back down from fighting for New York families. With everything on the line, we need someone who will deliver results and make New York affordable and safe for families and small businesses to not just survive, but thrive. Elise Stefanik will clean up Kathy Hochul's catastrophe and restore New York's greatness. Elise Stefanik for governor. It's time to save New York.
Yeah, well, that's a good ad, and Elise Stefanik is a very strong candidate. Kathy Hochul put out her own ad attacking Stefanik. She didn't really attack the congresswoman as much as she attacked President Trump.
Meet Elise Stefanik.
The greatest president in the history of our country, President Donald J. Trump.
She's Donald Trump's top ally in Congress.
I'm proud to be one of his top allies on Capitol Hill. This goes back to fighting against the witch hunt impeachment. It goes back to being the first member of Congress who endorsed him.
Now Elise Stefanik is running for governor of New York to do what she's always done, put Trump first.
She is phenomenal. She is a friend of mine.
Phenomenal at putting Trump ahead of you. Like when she proudly cast the deciding vote to pass Trump's agenda that rips healthcare away from 1.5 million New Yorkers.
She's doing me a big favor.
Stefanik put 5 rural hospitals in her district on the chopping block just to keep Trump happy.
And I've been proud to be President Trump's top ally in Congress.
She voted to greenlight Trump's tariffs, too, even though they're hurting New York farmers and jacking up costs on everything from groceries to coffee to building and owning a home. And when the Trump administration tried to cut $187 million in counterterrorism funds from New York, Elise Stefanik didn't raise a finger or say a word. And New Yorkers noticed.
Elise Stefanik.
Elise Stefanik, she'll always put Donald Trump ahead of you.
So we'll see if that works. We'll see if that works for her. Just saying Trump over and over and over and over. Maybe it will, because obviously New York's a very blue state, but I don't know. I think that New Yorkers might fear a Kathy Hochul, Zohran Mamdani governing duo than they do, Elise Stefanik at the head of the New York governor's mansion. I think it'll be fascinating to find out. Joining us on the line is Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who, of course, launched her campaign today. The polls show her essentially in a dead heat, maybe even slightly ahead of the current governor, Kathy Hochul, who is deeply unpopular in the state of New York. Congresswoman, thanks so much for taking the time and joining the show.
Great to be with you, Ben. People are following this race very closely.
So let's talk about why you're jumping into the gubernatorial race. Obviously, New York has been a blue state in terms of the governorship for quite a while. What makes you think things are going to change?
Well, look at what just happened in New York City, Ben. The world was watching, and they elected a radical anti-Semite, defund the police, tax hiking, abolish private property socialist, who I call communist, Kami Mamdani. And Kathy Hochul bent the knee. She endorsed him, and he just slightly got above 50%. And traditionally in New York, which is outnumbered from Democrat to Republican 7-1, traditionally the Democrat nominee gets in the 70s. He did not, and nearly half New Yorkers opposed him. So they know that this reeling off a cliff is going to be a disaster for New York State. I also am running because the top issues for New York families are making New York affordable and safe. Kathy Hochul has made New York the most unaffordable state in the nation. We have the highest taxes, the highest energy prices, utility prices, grocery prices, rent, the list goes on. And we also have a crime crisis where you have failed bail reform, where under Kathy Hochul's failed leadership, They release violent criminals onto the streets who literally have killed New Yorkers. So those are the top issues. And I'll tell you, it's been 20 years next year since we've had a Republican governor. It is time. And this coalition will be not just Republicans and independents, but Democrats as well, who are fed up with the direction far left that is happening in New York.
And so, Congresswoman, obviously, you look at New York, as we say, has traditionally been Democratic. And that means that Kathy Hochul has decided she's going to run her reelection campaign on the basis of President Trump. Obviously, she's going to try and just say President Trump's name over and over and over in the hopes that because you have been in Congress a supporter of President Trump, this is somehow going to push her over the finish line as a piece of sort of anti-Trump backlash. What do you make of that line of attack, and how do you plan to talk about that?
Well, first of all, it's Kathy Hochul who's on the ballot, and we're going to hold her accountable for her record. And the reality is, let's dig into the facts. Kathy Hochul is an accidental governor. This is not someone who ran through when she first was governor a primary. She was elevated because Cuomo stepped down. She was a lieutenant governor, a do-nothing lieutenant governor, and a weak lieutenant governor. Cuomo knew that. That's why he selected her. And when she ran in 2022, she was unknown. Now she's known for her incompetency, for her weakness, and for this failed record. When it comes to her votes, she won 3.1 million votes in New York. President Trump actually won close to 3.4 million votes in New York State. So this is about turnout. It's about turning out lower propensity voters. We believe, I know that I've done that in my district. We have the highest turnout of any congressional district in New York State, and we're going to have to do that across New York. But you can feel the energy and enthusiasm. Meanwhile, Hochul can't triangulate between the radical far left socialists and maintaining her middle, which she has lost, and it's never coming back.
So obviously, as you say, that is a major issue for Kathy Hochul, because right now Zohran Mamdani has proclaimed that he has these massive plans for New York City. A huge number of them are reliant on the state of New York, the state legislature, and the governor actually signing off on incredibly large tax increases in the state. And it's unclear at this point whether Hochul is going to go for that. And so she's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. If she attempts to raise taxes dramatically on people living in the state of New York, already one of the most overtaxed states in the country, then there will be a bit of a rebellion. If she does not, then presumably the progressive left is going to be deeply upset with her and maybe try to eat her alive. That is an unenviable political position for her.
Well, Ben, you're exactly right in your political assessment, but let's be clear. Kathy Hochul has already raised taxes on New Yorkers. She is the reason why we have the highest taxes in the entire nation. And it took less than 24 hours for Zohran Mamdani's supporters to heckle her, to chant tax the rich, to run her off the stage, for her to change her position and say she's now open to raising taxes. She will be forced by a Democrat-run state Senate, Democrat-run state assembly, with Mamdani and the DSA, the Democrat Socialists, on the march, to bend the knee. At every opportunity, Kathy Hochul bends the knee. She is controlled by the radical far left, by Mamdani, and she will do that in the case of raising taxes. This was the situation with her endorsement of Mamdani. She didn't intend to. She said she wasn't planning on endorsing, and then she did because of her bad polling. She's well under 50% among Democrat voters in New York State.
So when you look right now at the polling data, obviously there have been some variant polls that suggest she's ahead. There's one poll that suggests that you are actually ahead in this race. But the biggest factor here is the fact that she has never been a popular governor or even a gubernatorial candidate. In the last election cycle in which Kathy Hochul ran against Lee Zeldin, who of course is now the head of the EPA, she only won in the state of New York by something like 5.5 points. And that was, in fact, an off-year election, just like this one will be. What do you make of the fact that it is an off-year election? Obviously, Republicans tend to turn out significantly more during presidential election years. Is that going to be a hindrance, or is it just going to be an opportunity for you to reach out to independents and moderate Democrats who may be put off by the radicalism of the current Democratic Party?
I think it's both, Ben. We're very focused on turning out those lower propensity voters. As I pointed out before, we've worked on this in my district. We have the highest voter turnout of any congressional district in New York State. People are looking for a leader and a reason to get out and vote. And saving New York State, I mean, this is dire. This is dire for families. And that's only exacerbated when you look at the New York City mayor's race. People do not want Kathy Hochul. She failed as governor. And these traditionally wouldn't be necessarily part of the Republican coalition. They're now coming on board. My phone's been ringing off the hook from Democrats who either voted for Hochul or supported Hochul financially in terms of donations and bundling. They are coming on board our team because she's left them far behind. So we view it as an opportunity to broaden the tent, reach out to new communities, and run up the score to save New York State once and for all.
Well, that is Elise Stefanik. She's a congresswoman from New York. Hopefully, she'll be the next governor of New York as well. Congresswoman, thanks so much for the time and congrats on the run. If people want to support your campaign, what's the best way to do so?
EliseforGovernor.com. They can follow me on social media at Elise Stefanik.